Hi, this is Aaron Robichaud with the Robichaud Realty Group, and I'm here to interview Radhini and Russell Bell, two clients we just closed on in March. We had a crazy idea that we'd have an interview with them all and talk to them about the process being new home buyers. So we'll pass along to you.
We called on a sign that had a woman on it, and then you showed up at the door.
Right, well, I mean, that's marketing strategy.
Yeah. She's a very pretty woman, so that's what we thought. We actually were not even, we were looking for a house at the time, but we were told by some other mentors that you should just go and see a bunch of houses, even if you're not in the market immediately, just to see like, oh, this layout is nice. This is kind of what you like. This is what you don't like. And for us, I don't think that we ever thought we would live in this neighborhood or be able to pay for a house like this. And then we went in, and I think it was my dad, right? My dad was like, let's just make an appointment. Look, yeah. Let's just take a look. And this happens to be a very close neighborhood to where my parents live. So they were like, they've seen houses like this built by the same people. And then we called you and we walked in, and we definitely loved it. And we didn't think that we would love everything about it, because we've always just liked some things about the houses. But this was what we wanted.
The hardest part is setting expectations, right? Yeah.
The inspection went well. There weren't any major things there other than like a quick servicing of the AC, so it all went pretty smooth.
Let's talk about how we got connected, we got the ball rolling. The first stop was the lender.
Yeah.
And you can talk about how that process went.
Yeah, well, so I'm not very financially savvy at anything.
Yeah. Well, this is where we didn't really think we'd be able to afford this yet. We were saving up for a good sizable down payment. When it came to us liking this house, it was a little bit faster than we had maybe planned on buying a home, just because of that down payment piece. But then we came across something called a physician loan, which kind of allowed us to make a little bit lower of a down payment, but then still not have to pay PMI and get a decent interest rate as well. So that
was key. Right?
Yeah, it was so key.
Because with how interest rates were ticking into the sevens, when you all started the process, and to be able to get ones you said,
I think it was like 5.7.
Yeah,
especially for like the type of loan that we got, right? Like I think physician loans. So I guess so you kind of explained what it was, but we started off just looking at regular lenders and conventional loans because we didn't know that was an option for us. So I think it's an option for anyone who's either a dentist or a doctor in any way, right? It needs to be your first home that you're buying. And then that was key with getting this house. Like I said, we didn't think we would be able to afford this, but with the physician loan, we were able to not have to put a down payment, and we were able to put whatever we could and not have to pay that PMI. So, now it's just a monthly payment, which is great. But then you brought up a good point during the process, which was to try not to go with the big banks, because we've gone with big banks for like our regular stuff, and we have found the same issues where it's Monday through Friday. They usually close office before I even get out of work. You know what I mean? So that was hard. And then there's really not a lot of continuity. Like you don't have the same person you're working with or you're calling every time. So that makes it difficult, especially for someone like me who has no idea.
Talking to the assistant in another country.
Exactly. And you get a business card every time you walk in and you walk out, and it's a different person every time. So this was nice because number one, he was a specialist in what I was looking for. And number two, he did his research, because he knew that it was a physician loan. When we emailed him, he had come back and he knew the medical school I'd gone to, everything. And I had to look at Russ. I was like, is this a scam? Yeah. I was like, how does he know that? I never told him that. Yeah. But he did his research, and he was 24/7 available for us, via text, via email. And it was him or one other guy. And that made it really easy.
Yeah. As realtors, we try to insert ourselves a little bit into that process too, because there are maybe something that can happen with the deal that some lenders, you never know, right? Yeah. So if you get another set of eyes to kind of watch this for you.
Yeah. Who's in your court, right? Like you had no reason to not be on.
So anybody you can get that's just
second
on the ball.
Yeah.
And on your case, right? And that was nice about you and Maria too, is there were times that you were talking to our lender, even without us, and then you were getting back to us. So in times that we were at work or couldn't handle something, there was a constant triangle of communication going on, and we felt comfortable because we're constantly communicating, you know?
It's pretty vital. I mean, if we're going to earn a commission, we have to add value.
Yeah.
And you want someone who's competent and has been through this enough times that they know what's going to happen, what's coming around the corner.
Yeah.
And for first time home buyers, what are the odds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would know that.
No,
one of the
absolutely
things that helped when we were getting into which lender do we go with is maybe like kind of a strategy of cast a wide net. So I mean, we did look at the bigger banks. We looked at several of our friends had recommended lenders, and doing that actually kind of helped us maybe start a little bit of a price war between the two and kind of bid down.
And like that's never been
open the arena.
Yeah. And I don't know if that had anything to do with maybe why we got the rate that we got, but I don't think it's a bad thing.
It definitely
because
did. It definitely cut off like maybe 0.2 or 0.25%.
Yeah, because like what happened, I don't even think we went into it trying to negotiate like that, but it ended up being that when I put my feelers out to 2 specific places, one got back to me immediately, which was the one we ended up going with, and one got back to me after I'd already gone through a process, which was in a span of 2 days, but we had done so much with that lender already. And so when they offered me a different one, I was like, well, here's what I'm getting. Can you give me, this was key. I was like, can you give me the exact same format as what I got from this bank and tell me what your numbers are going to be? Mm-hmm. And she looked at it and she was like, we do the exact same format. Let me send that over. When I sent that over, I was like, hey, this is a better rate. But since I've done all the legwork with this first bank, let me just go to him and be like, yeah. And I was like, let me just, and for us, I mean, we were on vacation and doing so many sign this form. And I was like, I don't want to just switch banks just to do it all over again, make a new account. So I asked him, I was like, this is what they're giving us. Can you beat it or match it? And at that point, they had like their own individual meeting with his boss and they were able to lock in that rate for us. So that's why we got it. And I didn't know about locking in rates. Like apparently like the rate is a rate for that day. And if you don't lock it in, tomorrow it can go up. And it ended up going up around the time that we were doing this process.
So we got it under contract. Yeah. Y'all decided this is the house for you. You decided this is the price we want to offer. Mm-hmm. We had to fill out a contract. It was 13 some odd pages. A lot of pages. Lots
filled with a bunch of jargon. I didn't know.
Promulgated by a lawyer somewhere. I lost it back. So how was that process? How did that go for you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the biggest, commitment purchase wise that we've gone into. So a little bit of nerves. It's new to us, so not all the terms make sense. Maybe some of the clauses are worded in a way that might sound a little tricky. So
threatening.
Threatening. And I think that's important to say because like we're both educated people, but like you can't know everything. And if you never see the housing market and you don't have that business speak, because none of us are in business, that was scary because you're signing that's your name and that's a lot of money. So going through those pages was very stressful. But you guys helped us in that way because I think the good thing about you and Maria is because there's a really easy communication between us and the sellers, not having to actually talk to each other. So you were able to get those documents to us, I think, within the same day that we made that decision, right? So that was really helpful. Yeah, like super fast. And we were constant communication. And then you told us that you would call us that evening if we wanted to just go through the document page by page, which was line by line. And like we looked at each other because I think you had texted us or something and we were like, he's not really going to do that. What? Like he's probably going to go over it and I'm still not going to understand anything. But that night, like we stood there, we put the phone on speaker and we went through every single page and you like didn't get annoyed when we had to ask a bunch of questions. And it was key for us because we didn't know you that well. Like I said, this was the first few days of the process, right? And so there's always a little bit of hesitancy when you're picking somebody to handle the biggest purchase that you're going to make ever. And you were very open about us asking questions about why would we want to go with a couple versus like a standalone agent versus this. And you were honest with us about the goods, the bads, just the reality of it. And that is what switched things for us. We were like, okay, well, we can trust this guy and he's basically going out of his way to do all of these things to make sure.
I mean, that's our job, right?
Yeah.
And we get excited with first-time home buyers.
Yeah.
We feel that excitement from the client. And it's like, it gives us purpose of why, it focuses on why we're doing this job. It's not about the house. Coincidentally, it's a house purchase.
Yeah.
And I think that was huge, like putting us at ease, because in a situation like this, like there's no way, I mean, honestly, I think we got lucky. You have more experience than us, but I think everything went off very smoothly so far with our process. But like, it was almost expected that something was going to go wrong, or maybe like something would come up on the inspection, right? Like I think going into a home buying process, you should expect that to happen.
Yeah.
So you're not trying to find a realtor that's going to make sure nothing ever happens. You're going to find a realtor that when something happens, they can be there and they can help you through the process. And I felt like you guys were
awesome.
those people for us.
Yeah. Well, so we got under contract, we signed and everything, and then we hit option period. We had, option money, having to write a check. Earnest money, having to write a check. Where's this money going to? Why
the
am
first
I
actually putting your money down.
You're like, I got to look for an inspector. I got to write another check. Like, what are some things that were just like surprising to you?
I don't know. I think maybe a little bit of that was like expected along the way, kind of maybe putting some upfront cash to make sure that you're good for your money,
serious
and
about
things like
it.
that. And then the inspector, it makes sense, but I mean, there's a range of inspectors that you can go with as well. And I guess with it being a newer home, nothing major came up, like we mentioned earlier, but I think that part of the process went pretty smooth.
When we went through like the initial contract, I think you had gone over like what the money was going to be broken down, how it was going to be split. Yeah. So we kind of had an idea of how much we were going to have to pay, and what that was for. Yeah, exactly. Like we kind of knew that was happening. And honestly, I was just a little excited to put that check in.
Yeah. And like a little bit of that sticker shock. I mean, it's almost like with our finances, we're maybe overly conservative in some areas of like maybe putting aside too much or something. But so it was almost, it wasn't out of reason in terms of like what we were expecting to have to put forward. And all.
Awesome. Yeah. So we got through inspection, repairs. Yeah. I got to go in the attic and fix an attic.
Oh my gosh. Our attic door, we should name it Aaron early. Because he came off of, like it was his own time. He just came and fixed our attic door because it was going to be easy. But it works. We've used it.
So, we've done flips in the past. Yeah. And when you're looking at, in this area, investment properties, it's a lot of 70s houses. And you can just imagine
how much more
inspection repair on that one. Yeah, that was the easiest one. Like,
and yet you almost killed your wife doing that. Yeah, still.
And he has a scar. He has a scar to prove.
She's never gonna let you live that one down though. I won't either.
The scar so awesome. And then we got to closing. Yeah, we're getting the home stretch.
Yeah.
That part of it, I think I absorbed probably 50% of it. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, what was everything that we went through?
Constant.
Yeah, but at the time it was, I feel like I understood what I was signing off in terms of, again, it was one of those things where line by line we were going through every page that we had to sign off. There was a clear explanation of what we were doing or what we were signing there.
And you guys were there. You and Maria were both there, and then it was us, and then the person from the title company. And she was just kind of, she would like go through, okay, well, this is what this paper is, sign. This is what this paper is, sign. And it was just constant, like an assembly line. But we did stop a couple times, be like, wait, what was that for? And then you guys were there in case we needed explanations in a more
I couldn't imagine not going to a closing with a client
and just doing that alone. I mean, do people do that? Oh, well, I couldn't. Really? No, that would have been so scary because you're signing.
Yeah, especially.
But it's the most exciting part of it.
It was. It did feel like the most exciting part.
This is why we're here.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of like the sticker shock, that's definitely the day where a bulk of your down payment, all your closing costs, right? So like the option period and the insurance, getting all that lined up. And I think that's where like along the way, within that 30-day period we had before we committed to when we closed, I think we pretty much finished a lot of the paperwork maybe 2 weeks in. So we had kind of 2 weeks there. If there was anything that came up that we didn't think of to resolve and all of that as well. So that kind of maybe helped for no surprises on the day of closing as well.
But towards the end though, remember the bank, the lender did send a bunch of like the closing documents, and that we had to sign, and then there was like a little bit of an edit, we had to sign it again, a little bit of an edit, and we signed it again. So that within like a 2-day period we signed.
Yeah, once it goes through underwriting.
Yes.
It'll cause a check mark on the file. We need to resolve this one.
Exactly.
And they'll do it again. And it always creates another.
Yeah.
Until they,
that part was a little nerve-wracking because I still don't know if I completely understood everything that was going on the banking side, because that's not the
test myself here. Did I tell you all not to get any credit pulled, like buying a car or anything?
Yeah, you did. Oh. Yeah. And I think we had talked about it.
Because why?
Yeah, because they check you on the day of closing. So I mean, and that's a big thing too. I mean, if you're moving into a new house, I mean, I imagine you're going to buy new furniture and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, but no big payments during that time. You can't do it because I had to pay for like a huge exam, and it was like $2,500, and I didn't know if that's a lot or if they're saying don't make like a $10,000 purchase. So I just like emailed I think I emailed the lender and I CC'd you on it, right? And I was like, can I do this? I need to get it done before closing day.
That's pretty critical. Yeah. You had that forethought to just be above board and transparent about it. Because some people, I don't know, they try and pull a fast one, or go buy a car, get a hard credit pull, and then the day of closing they show up and like, you no longer qualify.
Yeah. And then that's like, everything's gone at that point.
Gosh. Yeah. So it's some people are pretty tight on this. So awesome! I'm so grateful to have you all as clients. Remember, you're clients for life. You're a realtor for life. So we're just down the road.
And that hasn't stopped, because even after we've moved in, like you've been helping us with. Well, there's like a couple of things like telling us about all the mail that we're gonna get, which is so true. You get so much mail.
This goes to all you as well. So much mail. You get a green sheet from the county appraisal. Like, congratulations on buying. Don't fill that out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've
got data harvesting, and they
so
want to know how much you bought the house for. They want to tax you on that.
Oh, okay.
And then all of the like we had people even come to the door and be like, we know, because you said it's public, right? That there's a new home.
It gets logged at the county courthouse.
Yeah, and then there are certain people
they're just waiting.
That are waiting. Yeah. So like people like security, like ADT or Brinks or whatever, they'll just come by and be like, we heard you're a new homeowner. Do you want our services? And people will come. I think once somebody came, and then most of the time they'll leave things, business.
But the amount of like kind of like phishing scams, I guess you could say, is where, you know, I guess they could even see what lender you use, because then we see like, oh, it looks like this is our bank, and then
they won't know how much it was because it's a non-disclosure state. But still, it's like, let's make this more non-disclosure.
Yeah.
Like your title, it'll say like $10 purchase and some considerations. Yeah. Like they're really vague about that on purpose, which is nice. But I just wish.
Yeah, and then they so it seems like they guess on what the price was, and then they also guess as to what your account number is, but. I mean, they try to make it look as official as possible, but I mean, you have to.
Yeah, you gotta have good fishing eyes for these things.
Yeah.
You have to.
Not your typical ad. I guess you could say that you throw away.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But then you don't want to throw away something that's important either, right? Because.
Well, that's why we're around. So just call us.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. I'm glad we could do this interview. It was easy.
Yeah. Like a conversation.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.